Hi, friends. Okay, I have a confession, and if you know me at all, you probably know this is true. I am a dilly-dallyer, and honestly, I kind of like it. I don't necessarily mean that I'm always late or that I'm intentionally trying to waste time. I just take my time sometimes. I might be going somewhere and decide I need a coffee. I might walk into the coffee shop planning to grab something and leave, but then I see somebody I know. And obviously, I'm going to say hello. And then we're talking, and then somehow my 5-minute coffee stop becomes 20 minutes. That, my friends, is dilly dallying. And I've realized that maybe I'm not actually trying to waste my time. I think I just really like enjoying my time. And I'm pretty sure there's a difference. So pour yourself something good because today's One Sip, One Tip is about something I'm officially calling the art of dilly dallying. So, why are we in such a hurry? I started thinking about this because we're constantly told to be more efficient. Optimize your morning, optimize your schedule, be productive, get more done, get there faster. And obviously, there is time for that. So please don't call your boss tomorrow and say, Kelly from the Morning Pour told me I need to dilly dally. So I'll be there when I get there. That's not what we're doing here. Please don't get me in trouble. I mean, get yourself in trouble because of me. I don't know. There are times I absolutely need to watch the clock, and there are places I need to be. There are responsibilities that matter, but I wonder if we've become so accustomed to filling every bit of available space that we've stopped leaving room for anything unexpected, and especially unexpected people. Because I know something about myself. I'm actually better at noticing people when I have some flexibility or margin. When I don't have somewhere I immediately need to be, I'm more likely to notice who's around me. I can walk into a coffee shop, order my coffee, see someone I know, and actually go sit with them. Maybe it's only for a couple minutes. Or maybe it's just longer than I expected. But those are the lovely moments. They're rarely on the calendar. You don't schedule 2:17 p.m., randomly run into a friend, and have an unexpectedly great conversation. No, that just happens. But it can only really happen when there's enough room for it. In my business, I am more focused on people and the ability to connect with them. And that sometimes means my appointments run over time because I'm talking to them. But there's also the moments that I walk up to a very familiar coffee shop and see people I know, and I get to stop and just catch up for a couple minutes. Those are the moments that I live for. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to give people my time and show them that I really value getting to know them and having that time with them. So I started wondering, how many really good moments in our lives happen in space we didn't schedule? And here's another part of this. We are heads down a lot. And I mean that literally. We're looking at our phones. We're answering messages. We're checking the next thing. We're looking at our calendar even, and we're thinking about what we need, where we're going, and what we need to accomplish. And sometimes we're physically around people without actually noticing any of them. I don't necessarily think that's because everybody is terrible or selfish. I think sometimes we're just not paying attention. We're so focused on managing our own little world that we don't notice what's happening in somebody else's. And I don't want to live like that. I want to be an eyes up person. I want to notice who's in the room. I want to notice when somebody seems like they need someone to talk to. I want to be able to notice when somebody I know walks into the coffee shop. And I want to notice when someone's standing by themselves. I want enough margin in my life that occasionally I can actually do something about what I notice. Because noticing somebody and having absolutely no room to engage with them are two different things. I've definitely had moments when I've seen someone while rushing and thought, oh my gosh, so good to see you. And I genuinely do mean it, but I don't have time. And that is okay sometimes. We cannot stop every single time. But I don't want that to become the way I live my entire life. Always seeing people, but never having time for them. This makes me think about something else. What actually makes you feel seen by another person? For me, it's curiosity. Not just somebody asking me a question or like a how you doing today. It's somebody asking a question that tells me they've already been paying attention. They know enough about me to know what the next question should be. They've been adding up my story. And I do really love that because there's a difference between how are you and hey, you told me about this thing a couple weeks ago. Whatever happened with that? That's different. That tells me you're listening. You remembered. And now you're curious enough to know what happened next. Those are the conversations where I feel genuinely seen. And maybe that's part of seeing people well. It's not having some incredibly profound thing to say. It's remembering. It's listening. And it's asking the follow-up questions. It's not just about waiting for them to finish talking so you can tell your own story. And let me be fully clear, I am not always good at remembering the small details of people. But if I'm with them face to face, those are the moments I'm going to remember. But if you just told me something in passing, I may not actually remember it. And I'm sorry for that. It's just me. I do genuinely care. And I like to ask a deeper question. I don't want to be on the surface. I want to get deeper. I want to have an understanding of who you are. And I find it important to ask the curious questions and go a little deeper to understand better. And I think curiosity, it communicates you're worth knowing. Not because I need something from you, and not because I'm networking, not because you're useful to me. I just want to know you. And I kind of think that's increasingly rare. When I think about noticing people, it also makes me think about Jesus. Because Jesus definitely noticed people. He noticed people that other people were really good at ignoring. The outcast, the person who wants something, the person on the edge of the crowd, and even the people everyone else has already decided wasn't important. He saw them. And something I've been thinking about is how often Jesus allowed people to interrupt what seemed to be happening. There was somewhere he was going. There were people around him. There was always something happening. And yet, a single person mattered. You know that saying that's like, he left the 99 to find the one? I mean, that has Jesus' character written all over it. But here's where I think we have to be careful. I don't think this means we're supposed to give every single person unlimited access to us. Because Jesus didn't do that either. He actually withdrew. He went away to pray and he rested. There were crowds that wanted more from him, and he still left. So I don't think loving people well means we're being accessible to everybody all the time. And actually, I think there's a really important difference between available and being accessible. I want to be available. I don't want everybody to have unlimited access to me. Those are different things. Being available to me means I'm aware. I'm paying attention. I have some room. I can discern. Does this person need a little more of my time right now? Is this conversation worth staying for? Is God putting something in front of me that I need to notice? Accessibility feels different than that. Accessibility says everybody gets my time whenever they want it. And that is just not healthy. It's also not possible. I read The Best Yes years ago, and one of the things that stuck with me is this idea that not everything gets your yes. And that's good. Because when everything gets your yes, the things that actually matter don't necessarily get your best yes. So I'm not telling you to stop your life for everybody. I'm asking whether we've left enough room to recognize when something actually deserves our attention. And there is a difference. I've learned over the years that just because I can do something and I have the ability doesn't mean I need to. It may not be for me. I might need to leave that gift for someone else to pick up. And maybe the goal isn't, I need to be available to everyone. Maybe it should be, I want to be available enough to notice. That feels different to me. What do you think? And this opens up another question for me that I don't necessarily have the perfect answer for. What are we actually rushing toward? Is it the next accomplishment? The next appointment? More money? A better career? The next season? A new relationship? The next trip? The next thing on the calendar? We are constantly striving for something. And some of those things are good. Careers matter. Responsibilities matter. And goals matter. But I know for myself, I don't know that I'm always rushing toward the best things. Because people matter too. And this is the part that's hard to say without sounding dramatic. Our time with people is limited. Sometimes we know that, and sometimes we don't. There are people you assume you'll see again. There are conversations you think you can have later. There are invitations you think you'll accept next time. There are questions you think you'll eventually ask. And sometimes there is a next time. But sometimes there isn't. So I don't want to become so efficient at managing my life that I accidentally rush past the people who are part of it. Because maybe people aren't the interruption in our lives. Maybe the people are part of the point. So I think we need to reclaim the dilly-dally. Not irresponsibly, and it's not procrastination. Definitely not avoiding the things we're supposed to do. I'm talking about the intentionally leaving a little room, a little margin to get coffee, take a walk, stay for any conversation, put down your phone, look around the room and ask the second question. If somebody tells you something, remember it and ask them about it later. And when you have the flexibility, linger. Because the opposite of rushing isn't doing nothing. It's being present enough to notice. And some of the minutes we think we're wasting are actually the minutes we'll remember. So here is your one sip, one tip for this week. Leave yourself a little room to dilly-dally. Not because your time isn't valuable, because it is. Be intentional about who gets it. You don't have to be accessible to everyone, but try to be available enough to notice. Definitely put your phone down and keep your eyes up. And ask the follow-up question. Stay 5 minutes longer when you can, and maybe this week, before you hurry on to whatever's next, ask yourself this. What or who am I in such a hurry to get past? because there might be something really good happening in the space between where you are and where you're trying to get. Take what you need, leave what you don't, and I'll meet you right back here next week for another sip. Oh, and one more thing before you go. Obviously, once I decided to talk about dilly-dallying, I had to know where this ridiculous little word came from. And this is actually kind of my favorite part. Dilly-dally has been around for centuries. The word as we know it shows up around the 1700s. It's basically a playful repetition of the older word dally. Today, when we hear dally, we think of lingering or wasting time. But when you trace dally way back, around the 1300s, some of its early meanings involved things like communing, talking seriously, and later talking intimately or politely. Eventually, the word evolved into the idea of lingering, delaying, or wasting time, which means we somehow took a word connected with lingering in conversation and eventually decided that lingering meant wasting time. And I don't know. I think we may have gotten that one a little wrong. Because if I dilly-dally into a coffee shop and spend 20 minutes talking with somebody I care about, did I just waste 20 minutes? Or did I use them really well? Maybe we need a little more of the original dally. A little more conversation, a little more lingering, a little more noticing, and a little less rushing to get to the next thing. So go forth and dilly-dally responsibly. Get your work done, show up on time, but leave a little room for people.